Skinny all the way Southern T. Back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If this is your first time, do your boy solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button there as well. Talk this good boxing, MMA, sports, parlays, predictions every single day and not just today. Today, man, we here with a boxing prediction EP, right? I ain't go. We here for a good time, not a long time today, right? With this EP, we are go B and B later, right? Ball boxing and blunts later, right? We are go B and B later. Uh, but yeah, we here for a good time, not a long time with this man. We go get into this fight breakdown, light heavyweight fight breakdown prediction, right? My favorite light heavyweight, right? That nobody knows, Albert Ramirez. Y'all ever heard the term that we like to use called stopping shit? Albert Ramirez be stopping shit, right? He's facing Lerrone Richards right now. Lerrone Richards, not gonna lie, Lerrone Richards was a guy that I thought maybe could find himself, you know what I mean? Maybe a champion one day. Like he has a nice boxing ability, right? He's agile, he's mobile, right? But he just don't have a whole lot of power, right? And that's what gets LeRon Richards in trouble, right? He could box his tail off, right? But he don't have a whole lot of power. He's gotten up there in age, you know what I mean, as well. All right, neither one of these guys are spring chickens, right? Both these guys are veterans, right? So the age not gonna play too much. But I'm just saying, him being mobile and agile, right? He's getting up there in age, you know what I mean. But pretty good fight. Um, I believe it's going to be between the two. Shout out my guy Daniel Berry. What's good, Daniel Berry? Appreciate you sliding through, right? But we got Albert. I don't know if I called him Roberto, but we got Albert Ramirez 22-0, LeRon Richards 19-1, right? So we got some nice, pretty records, right? You know what I mean? Southpaw versus Southpaw. Uh, Albert Ramirez is 5'11" with a 75-inch arm reach. LeRon Richards is 5'11" with a 71-inch arm reach, right? So Ramirez has a 4-inch arm reach advantage. Now I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I knew they were about the same height. I thought that Richard's arms would actually be longer, but he's going to be giving up some arm reach in this, right? A nice amount of arm reach too. You know what I mean? 4 inches. When you get around that 3 to 4 and more inches in arm reach, right? That's what it starts to make a bit of a difference. You know what I mean? Then, right? So he's going to be giving up. So he's going to be giving up the 4 inches in arm reach also. I think he's going to be at a power disadvantage in this fight. His best bet, LeRon Richards' best bet in this fight, right, is going to be to try and make Albert Ramirez chase him around the ring, right, make him miss, right, make him pay, use his athleticism, use his agility, right. But especially getting up there, in age. For how long can you do that? In his last fight, he got stopped by Stephen Woodall. Now I picked him to beat Stephen Woodall, and he got stopped by Stephen Woodall, right? So understand, I did pick LeRon Richards' last fight wrong. I picked Albert Ramirez to win his fight, and he did in his last fight, and he won by knockout, right? Just so happened, LeRon Richards got knocked out, right? So Ramirez is coming off a knockout. Richards is coming off getting knocked out. He had one fight in between, right? But the guy that he fought in between really wasn't. He was subpar. You know what I mean, to say the least, right? The guy that he fought, I think he had like 2 wins. Might have had like 2 wins and 22 losses or something like that. All right, the last guy, Leroy Richards fought, kind of just a fight to get him back, in the win. Ray Buck was good, kind of just a fight to get him back in the win column, right? You know what I mean? He fought a guy named Dallin Courtney. He was 2-22 and two, right? He won that fight on points in the sixth round. He's taking on Albert Ramirez. Y'all. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm gonna be real with y'all as we get into this breakdown. I thought Richards, you know, I thought Richards' arms would be a little long. He actually got short arms for a light heavyweight, if we being real. I thought his arms would be a little longer, right? But they're not. So the fact that he's giving up that much reach, he's giving up the power advantage as well. Uh, Albert Ramirez has looked great, you know what I mean, recently. 22-0, right? I guess you could say he's looked great most of his career, right? Right. But he's coming off a knockout over Jerome Pampillon, who kind of fights like Lerrone Richard, right? He fights like a version of Lerrone Richards. He may have, except he has more power than Lerrone Richards, right? So he has more power than Lerrone Richards. And Ramirez just knocked out a guy, just stopped the guy who fights similar to Lerrone Richards, but is bigger, with more power, right? And even younger than Lerrone Richards, right? So I kind of gave it away where I'm going with it in this EP, right? So we're going to go with Albert Ramirez to get this win over Lerrone Richards, right? And I'm thinking that Albert Ramirez wins this fight by knockout. Albert Ramirez is minus 600, right? So we don't necessarily have great odds on it, right? We don't got methods on it just yet, right? But I'm telling you my method and what I think that he lands the knockout. So whenever those props drop, hopefully we get a pretty good price on the KO. I would think if his money line is minus 600, then we should get decent, you know what I mean? Decent value on the props and whatnot for the knockout or the KO. But I most definitely think this is a lock pick. This is my lock pick of the week, right? Albert Ramirez versus Lerrone Richards. And if Lerrone Richards could use the ring in this, he may be able to survive. But I'm thinking even then, at some point, Albert Ramirez is going to hunt him down. He's going to be the bigger guy in this, right? And the last thing you want to be is Lerrone Richards, right? With 21 fights and only 4 knockouts with no power, fighting a guy like Albert Ramirez not being able to hurt him. So I do think Albert Ramirez is going to be able to, in a sense, walk through Lerrone Richards' punches, and I think he'll be able to, stop Lerrone Richards. I think the stoppage is probably going to come if I'm if I would actually say maybe 1 through 6, right? But we gonna see exactly the props that we get. You know what I mean, how much they're worth. But Albert Ramirez by knockout over Lerrone Richards. And I wish I could say y'all that I think this fight is going to be competitive, but I actually don't think it's going to be competitive. He's minus 600, right? He could even be if Lerrone Richards didn't have his name that he had, right? Albert, Albert Ramirez really should be like maybe double this, minus 1,200, right? So as crazy as it sounds, you getting value on the minus 600, but you kind of getting value with Albert Ramirez, on that minus 600. So I think he's going to sweep Lerrone Richards from being real. I think he's going to sweep him up. So I feel like it's kind of free money this week, right? Albert Ramirez knockout in this fight is going to be on a Thursday, right? So I ain't gonna keep y'all in this thing too much longer, man. Albert Ramirez to stop Lerrone Richards. I'm thinking it's an earlier KO, but a KO for sure. Albert Ramirez for the win. One of my favorite fighters to watch that nobody knows for the KO. Appreciate y'all folks sliding through. Skin the Hardaway studying T. This ain't the past. This ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love. Also, BB&B tonight. Salute.